Welcome to Money is Freedom, a podcast exploring how finance and freedom connect in our lives. Created from thoughtful research and narrated by Notebooklm AI, this series brings you clear, meaningful insights into finance and beyond. In episode 27, we explore whether Bitcoin's rising dominance is permanently changing crypto history or if Altseason is just delayed. With institutions favoring Bitcoin and quantitative tightening, QT, still in effect, altcoins have struggled, leading some to declare the end of past cycles' patterns. But does history suggest otherwise? Join me as we break down Bitcoin's dominance, altcoin trends, and key macro signals that could determine if Altseason will return in 2025 or never again.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be wading into the waters of the crypto market.
Ooh, fun.
You shared some research with me on Altseason.
Right.
So that's that time when all the altcoins,
Yeah.
the alternative cryptocurrencies, are supposed to outperform Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
And the big question everyone's asking,
Yeah.
is this cycle different? Is Altseason just delayed or is it just gone?
Yeah, is it just gone?
Let's break it down.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an interesting time to be watching the markets.
Yeah.
You know, we've got this historical pattern, the so-called crypto cycle,
Right.
which is really heavily influenced by Bitcoin's halving event.
Right. The halving,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a built-in scarcity mechanism, right?
Yeah.
It happens roughly every 4 years.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's production rate gets cut in half.
Yeah.
And in theory, that should drive up the price.
Yeah.
But how does that impact all the altcoins?
Well, historically, when Bitcoin's price surges after a halving, early investors, you know, they take profits.
Right.
They've been holding sometimes for years.
Yeah.
And this is their chance to kind of cash out.
Sure.
And then they look for the next big opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's where altcoins come in.
Makes sense.
So this flow of capital from Bitcoin into altcoins,
Right.
that's what has traditionally fueled these like explosive alt seasons.
Okay, so it's like a classic pump and rotate strategy.
Exactly.
Bitcoin goes up, profits get taken, and then that money flows into the altcoins, creating another surge.
Yeah,
We've seen this play out before, haven't we?
absolutely.
I built them.
2017,
Okay.
Bitcoin dominance just plummeted
Wow.
as Ethereum and other altcoins just absolutely skyrocketed.
Mhm.
And then again in 2021, we had like the meme coin frenzy. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The DeFi boom, NFTs exploding. Like, it was wild.
It was wild. It felt like every day there was a new coin hitting the headlines.
It was crazy.
And here's where things get really puzzling. This time, Bitcoin's dominance isn't dropping. In fact, it's actually increasing.
Right.
So what's going on here?
Yeah, what is going on?
Is the cycle broken?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
A couple of things stand out to me from the research you've shared.
Okay.
First, we've got this massive influx of institutional money
Okay.
into Bitcoin.
Interesting.
The approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs in the U.S.
Right.
has been a game changer.
Oh, really?
These ETFs make it way easier for large institutions,
Like who?
like pension funds, hedge funds,
Okay.
to invest in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing it
They are.
in a big way.
Wow. So it's like Bitcoin has finally gotten the Wall Street seal of approval,
Yeah, you could say that.
but the altcoins are still viewed as too risky.
Yeah, too risky for those big players.
Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing these like established firms like BlackRock and Fidelity
Oh, those are big names.
launching Bitcoin ETFs. And I mean, these are the giants of the financial world.
Yeah.
That kind of legitimacy
Yeah.
is a powerful driver for Bitcoin's price.
So, okay, institutional adoption is definitely playing a role.
Big time.
But what about Ethereum?
Hmm.
It's the second largest cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah.
It's often seen as like the leader of the altcoin pack.
Yeah. Just kind of sets the tone.
What's happening with its performance?
That's another fascinating piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
So while Bitcoin's market cap has been surging,
Yeah.
Ethereum's dominance has actually been shrinking.
Oh, wow.
This suggests that Ethereum might be decoupling from Bitcoin's trajectory.
Interesting.
Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for the altcoin market as a whole,
Yeah.
that's still up for debate.
Okay, so it's like Bitcoin is becoming its own asset class,
Wow.
the digital gold everyone keeps talking about.
Exactly.
But if Ethereum isn't following the same pattern, what does that mean for all the other altcoins out there?
Right.
Is Altseason really over?
Well, it's not quite that simple.
Okay.
There's another major factor at play here. And that's the macroeconomic environment,
Okay.
specifically the Federal Reserve monetary policy.
Wait, the Fed? I thought crypto was supposed to be decentralized,
Yeah,
separate from traditional finance.
right.
How does the Fed come into play?
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
The reality is that crypto markets
Yeah.
are still influenced by global economic trends.
Okay.
And right now we're in a period of
Yeah.
quantitative tightening, or QT,
Right.
where the Fed is reducing the amount of money in circulation.
Okay, so less money sloshing around in the system.
Exactly.
How does that impact crypto and
Well-
altcoins specifically?
Think of it this way.
Okay.
When money is tight, investors become more risk averse.
Sure.
They're less likely to gamble on speculative assets,
Like altcoins.
like altcoins, exactly.
Okay, good.
Bitcoin, on the other hand, is increasingly seen as this safe haven asset,
Okay.
this kind of digital gold.
Right.
So in a QT environment, Bitcoin tends to benefit,
Okay.
while altcoins suffer.
Interesting. So it's like a double whammy for altcoins.
Yeah.
They're not getting the institutional love that Bitcoin is.
Right.
And they're getting squeezed by the Fed's tightening policies.
Right.
No wonder they're struggling.
Yeah, they're having a tough time.
But what happens when the Fed changes course?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Historically, when the Fed shifts from QT to quantitative easing,
Right.
or QE,
Right.
it's been like a green light for altcoins.
QE, that's when the Fed essentially pumps money back into the system, right?
Exactly.
Making it easier for people to borrow and invest.
Yep.
And that easy money tends to flow into riskier assets,
Uh-huh.
like altcoins.
Like altcoins.
We saw this play out in 2019 and 2020, right?
Yeah.
Ethereum and other altcoins were lagging behind,
Uh-huh.
but then the Fed pivoted to QE and boom,
Boom.
the altcoin market exploded.
It was off to the races.
So is that the key then? Are we just waiting for the Fed to flip the switch and turn on the QE money printer?
Wow.
Will that magically bring back Altseason?
It's certainly a factor to watch closely,
Okay.
but there are other things to consider as well.
Like what?
I mean, the crypto landscape is constantly evolving.
Right.
New technologies, new projects, new use cases are emerging all the time.
You're right. It's not just about the money.
Yeah.
There's the whole innovation side of things too.
Exactly.
Ethereum, for example, has been working on some pretty major upgrades.
Yeah.
Could those changes, independent of the Fed's actions, drive a resurgence in altcoin interest?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The Ethereum merge, for example, significantly reduced its energy consumption.
Right.
Made it more appealing to environmentally conscious investors.
Sure.
And there's ongoing work on scalability and security.
Yeah.
If Ethereum can successfully address these challenges, it could attract a whole new wave of adoption.
Okay, so we've got this interesting dynamic developing.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you've got Bitcoin increasingly seen as a safe haven, attracting institutional money. On the other hand, you've got Ethereum and other altcoins potentially driving innovation and attracting a different type of investor.
It's a fascinating dichotomy.
It is.
And it raises an important question.
What's that?
Is the traditional crypto cycle, with its clear dominance by Bitcoin,
Yeah.
still relevant? Or are we moving toward a more multipolar market with different cryptocurrencies serving different purposes and attracting different investor profiles?
Okay, so maybe it's not about Altseason being canceled, but about it evolving.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we won't see those massive synchronized pumps across the entire altcoin market like we did in the past.
That's a real possibility.
Okay.
We might see more nuanced sector-specific rallies.
Interesting.
For example, if there's a breakthrough in decentralized finance or DeFi, we might see a surge in DeFi-related altcoins.
So it's not about betting on the entire altcoin market,
Right.
but about identifying specific trends and projects with strong fundamentals.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
The key is to do your research.
Yeah.
Understand the technology.
Right.
And assess the team behind each project.
Okay.
The days of blindly chasing meme coins are probably over.
That's a good point. The market is maturing and investors are becoming more sophisticated.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's bring it back to the present moment.
Okay.
It's January 2025, and the Fed is still in tightening mode. Interest rates are high, liquidity is tight, and risk appetite is low.
Yep.
What does that mean for altcoins in the short term?
Well, it's certainly not the ideal environment for a major altcoin rally.
Okay.
As we've discussed, QT tends to favor safe haven assets like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there aren't opportunities.
Okay, so even in this less than ideal environment, there are still potential plays for savvy investors.
For sure.
But what should they be looking for? What signals should we be watching for?
Right.
What could indicate a shift in the tide for altcoins?
There are a few key indicators.
Okay.
First and foremost, any sign that the Fed is considering a pivot away from QT would be huge. That could be hints of interest rate cuts.
Yeah.
Or even murmurs of a return to QE.
So we're back to Fed watching.
A little bit, yeah.
But with a more nuanced perspective this time.
Right.
It's not just about waiting for the money printer to turn back on.
No.
We also need to keep an eye on developments within the altcoin space itself. Are there any major upgrades or innovations on the horizon?
Exactly.
Are there specific sectors showing strong growth independent of the broader market conditions?
Those are all good questions.
So it's about understanding both the macroeconomic forces
Right.
and the micro-level innovations happening within the crypto space.
Yeah.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is, but that's what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah.
This is a dynamic, rapidly evolving market. And staying informed is crucial for success.
You're absolutely right. So for our listener who's trying to make sense of all this, what are the key takeaways? What should they be focusing on as they navigate this complex landscape?
I would say the key takeaway is that the crypto market is maturing. The days of simple, predictable cycles might be over.
Interesting.
We're moving towards a more complex, multifaceted market influenced by a wider range of factors.
So it's not just about Bitcoin anymore.
Exactly. While Bitcoin will likely remain a dominant force, altcoins are carving out their own niches,
Okay.
driven by innovation and a growing understanding of their unique value propositions.
It sounds like the future of altcoins is less about riding Bitcoin's coattails and more about charting their own course based on real-world utility and technological advancements.
I think that's a great way to sum it up.
It's like we're seeing the crypto ecosystem diversify.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is becoming the bedrock, the digital gold,
Right.
while altcoins are exploring all these different possibilities from decentralized finance to NFTs and beyond.
That's a great way to put it. And this diversification makes the market more resilient,
Okay.
more adaptable.
Interesting.
It's no longer a monolithic entity driven solely by Bitcoin's price movement.
That's encouraging, especially for someone like me who's always been fascinated by the potential of blockchain technology to disrupt all sorts of industries.
Exactly. And that's what makes this such an exciting space to watch. We're still in the early stages.
Yeah.
And there's so much innovation happening.
Right.
The key is to stay informed.
Okay.
Stay curious.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to dive deep into the projects that pique your interest.
Okay. I'm ready to dive. But before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to circle back to the question we started with.
Okay.
Is Altseason canceled? Or just delayed?
Yeah.
Or maybe transformed into something completely different?
Right.
What's your take?
I think it's safe to say that the traditional Altseason as we've known it might be a thing of the past.
Okay.
Those wild across-the-board pumps driven by Bitcoin's price cycles are less likely in this more mature, diversified market.
So no more easy money by just blindly following the herd?
Probably not, but that doesn't mean there won't be opportunities for significant gains.
Okay.
The key is to be more selective, more strategic.
Right.
Look for projects with strong fundamentals,
Okay.
real-world utility, and a dedicated team behind them.
So it's about being an informed investor, not just a speculator.
Exactly.
It's about understanding the technology, the trends, and the potential impact of these projects.
Precisely. And remember, this is still a volatile market.
Yeah.
Don't invest more than you can afford to lose.
Right.
Do your own research. And don't rely solely on hype or social media sentiment.
Solid advice. So as we emerge from this deep dive into the world of altcoins, what's the final thought you want to leave our listener with? What's the one thing they should keep in mind as they continue their crypto journey?
I would say this. The crypto space is full of potential, but it's also full of risk. Don't get caught up in the hype cycles.
Right.
Focus on understanding the underlying technology, the value propositions, and the long-term vision of the projects you're interested in. And always remember, the future of finance is being written right now.
Wow.
And you have the opportunity to be a part of it.
That's a great note to end on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us, and thanks to you, our listener, for joining us on this exploration. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of cryptocurrency.